Okay, we have some speakers who are representing Causa Justa.
Hi everyone, how are you guys doing today? So my name is Jessica and I'm out here because we're also getting evicted with the Ellis Act, and our landlord just bought the building like 2 months ago, so we've actually been here longer than he has, and he's actually trying to buy us out for money. And we're actually trying to fight this eviction because we're worth way more than what he's trying to offer us to leave out of here. So we're not going to leave, we're going to keep fighting to stay. And he's also threatened us to not basically keep up with his utilities, which are water, and he said our water would be cut off, or the city sent a notice saying our water would be cut off. So we're not leaving, and we're going to keep fighting, and hopefully we're able to stay.
This is Mrs. Lee. I'm here today because I support the movement against the displacement across our communities. I live on Jackson Street, and I had saw that a lot of folks had came out for me in my eviction case. Jackson Street has been my home for over 30 years. I've raised each of my children there. The Ellis Act evictions are taking over San Francisco, and a lot of times it's disproportionately impacting seniors like myself, families, and those who are disabled. In San Francisco, there's a strong need for affordable housing, but the pipeline and housing hasn't caught up. I hope that will change. I'm here today really to thank everyone for all the support, and we have to keep up the fight. It's not okay to just let gentrification take over.
Hey, Mission Familia! I'm like really emotional being here and witnessing this demonstration here. It's so, I won't use a bad word, it's so inspiring and it's so somber at the same time. It reminds me of all the organizing we had to do to fight and protect our communities. The only way we're going to get out of this gentrification and displacement epidemic, this crisis we're having in San Francisco, is to fight and to grow demonstrations like this bigger and bigger and bigger. We have to put our bodies on the line to protect our housing, to protect our communities, and to send the message that housing is a human right. It's not something you get rich on. It's not something you move people out away from. It's something you protect and you grow and you build for working communities, for working class people, for immigrants, for the workers who make this city. I am so sick at heart to see luxury housing built in this town. Over and over again, the Board of Supervisors approves luxury market rate housing that no one here in this block can afford. There should be a call across the whole city. No more luxury market rate housing. Housing for the people. I represent District 11, the Excelsior District. In the past 10 years, we have grown by about 5,000 people. We haven't had very many units built. We've had maybe 100 units built in the past 10 years. We have households doubled up, people living in garages, people living in places that they shouldn't be living in. And that's because they've been displaced from parts of San Francisco like the Mission District. So our policies about how we can protect people have to be citywide, but they have to be focused on first and foremost where the trouble is happening most. That's here in the Mission District. In the Mission, like 10 years ago, so many of my friends and family members were evicted or had to be displaced and move and live in East Bay. It's happening all over again, folks. That's why we're here. But what happened 10 years ago is that we rose up and we changed the politics of San Francisco. We actually booted out Willie Brown's cronies on the Board of Supervisors. And we gotta boot out the lame supervisors that I serve with on the board. People who don't care about our communities. People who only care about who's gonna support their next run for public office. That's not the way we do our business here. And it's all on us to actually make it happen. We have to go door to door. If we're not going door to door to save our city, we're not doing enough to save our city. If we're not registering enough people to vote to save our city, we're not going to save our city. If we're not getting the word out that we need a new economic way of dealing with people, we're not going to save our city. So, are we going to save our city? Are we going to save our city? Then let's save our city. Thank you.
Thank you, John Avalos. Vivienda sí, desalojos no. Vivienda sí, desalojos no.
She's lived and worked in the mission for 19 years with her wife Elva, a Salvadorian veterana of La Misión since 1957. Let's have an applause for her.
What's behind me? No murals. There are no murals in La Movida because it used to be El Delfín. It was a community restaurant, good, hard-working people. They had murals there of the Mesoamerican culture that told a story of the indigenous history of this neighborhood and of the people of this neighborhood. From long before the Ohlone were here, there were symbols, Nahual symbols, Mayan symbols, of all of the people of America Latina, which is right here. They whitewashed those murals, even though they were told not to. They are trying to whitewash the culture of the mission, and we hold the line right here. We hold the line right here, or this is going to look like Valencia Street. This is where we hold the line from Valencia to Potrero in this cultural corridor. And we join this holding of the line with the working class and elderly people in the LGBT community who are being evicted. We hold the line with the people in Chinatown who are being evicted. And as we reach our hands across the city to protect the cultures and the diversity that makes this city worth living in, we will save our city. When the farm workers in Arizona wanted to organize, they were being abused, they were poor, they were undocumented. Cesar Chavez was laying on a couch from a fast. And Dolores Huerta was there, and the farm workers were saying, no, no se puede. What did Dolores say? What did Dolores say? What did Cesar say? What do we say? No more cultural genocide. Join hands across the city and organize. Sí se puede. 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 You can. You can. You can. You can. Sí se puede. 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 You ready to fight back? Yeah! You ready to fight back? Yeah! You ready to fight back? Yeah! It's gonna be a long battle, you guys, but I hope Mission Districts get, the whole city of San Francisco gets used to drumming. Because this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. We're taking This is ground zero, people. Behind every eviction lies a greedy realtor. Vanguard Realty. Boom! Behind every eviction of any small business or any resident in San Francisco who's working and low income, there's somebody who's willing to pay more, and there's someone willing to collect their commission. It's time we say enough. It begins here, guys. This is ground zero. Enough. I just want to say that, we're going to take the city back, so I hope you have a lot of energy. I have a lot of energy. I'm totally inspired by today, by all of us being here, all of us working people, artists, Latinos, Asians, African Americans are at 4%, I believe, in San Francisco. So we'll take this march, we'll go to the Bayview, we'll go to the Western District, we'll go to North Beach with the Lead in Chinatown, and we'll take back this city. But you have to be ready for a lot of work, guys. It's going to take a lot of energy, but we're ready. We're ready. Somebody said, oh, is Mac back? I was like, you bet your ass Mac is back. Anyway, before I leave, I just wanted to mention I'm the daughter of farm workers. I'm a Chicana. So anytime any part of the Latino community is diminished, part of my heart and soul is diminished.
Viva San Francisco! First of all, let me say that I'm so proud to be a part of this movement. There is something happening here. There is something happening here because we are in a state of crisis. We have an affordability crisis. And I can tell you as a supervisor, City Hall is not treating it like a crisis. Just yesterday there was some news and some folks in City Hall were very proud that the city had the highest bond rating in its history. And I say, you know what? It's good that times are good, but times aren't good for most of us. We have truly a tale of two cities. We have a group of people who are doing very well, and the city has helped them do that. We gave Twitter a $22 million tax break, and what do we get for it? We are opening the doors to all these corporations. We're giving them money so that they not just, rich, but they're ultra rich. And what are we doing for the working people? We're doing nothing for the working people. People are being evicted left and right. I am tired of going to so many meetings to explain to that abuelita, that little girl, why it is that they have to leave their home now. We are tired of the speculation. We are tired of the greed. But we are here to take this city back. And I am here, in the words of Harvey Milk, I am here to recruit you. Because we need a movement. We need to be a part of this movement. And the way to recruit you is that we need to direct the anger we feel into something constructive. And what I am telling you is that that's something constructive. The only thing that's going to make things different is if we go out and vote. If we go out and organize and we tell the politicians in City Hall that this is our city, that this is a city that belongs to San Franciscans who are barely making it, to the low-income San Franciscans, to the middle-income San Franciscans. And this isn't a race thing. Because if you look around, there are brown people, there are white people, there are African-American people, there are Asian-American people. This is a class issue. Because unless you're a millionaire in San Francisco, you're not going to be able to afford to live here. Unless you have $1 million to pay for an apartment, you're not going to be able to stay here. So I am here to challenge you to send a message to City Hall that the politicians finally do something for the people that elected them, that we create affordable housing, that we pass laws that protect tenants, and that in Sacramento that we get rid of the Ellis Act. Now, you heard from some of my colleagues. The Board of Supervisors has passed many projects that have nothing to do with you. You have the 8 Washington project. where they're building $5 million condos. Who can afford to do that? Who can afford to buy those condos? Not me, not you. But times are changing. And when we organize, when we get together and we vote, that's when City Hall starts paying attention. I am here to tell you that this supervisor will continue to fight the fight, but I cannot do it by myself. I need your help. I need you to come with me to City Hall so that when 2 weeks, when we pass legislation, introduce legislation to protect tenants against harassment, that all of you are there to support that legislation. That when we introduce legislation to prevent some of these buyouts that they're doing, these speculators, that we pass that legislation. And I'll tell you this, that we're not going to stop here today, because this is happening in every neighborhood. And what I love about this crowd, that it's not just the Mission, it's Chinatown, it's Bayview, it's Western Addition, it's all of San Francisco that's here. So let's go and fight. And in the words of Cesar Chavez, let me ask you a question. ¿Se puede? ¿Se puede? ¿Se puede? Thank you.
Everybody, thank you for joining us. It was a long march, but we're here and it's a struggle. My name is Eric Arguello. I'm the founder and president of Calle 24. We're a Merchants and Neighborhood Coalition. We've been fighting on 24th Street for the last 15 years. We've been fighting against prospecting. We've been fighting against investors. We've been fighting the archdiocese. And that was the tipping point for us in this community. We're going to continue to fight. And what we're saying now is that Calle 24 is not for sale. 24th Street 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 is not for sale. Thank you.
I'm a native San Franciscan, and I've done a number of things within our community. I love our community. More than that, I love San Francisco. And I find it so important for all of us to keep the struggle going, keep it strong. I've had a business, I used to have a business on Valencia at 19th and 20th, called Encantada Gallery. We had a 2-month struggle trying to maintain our business. We were evicted in July. Originally, when I got into that business, it was $1.25 a square foot. One part of that square foot now is over $10.50 a square foot. It's over $5,000 a month. We couldn't make it. We couldn't stay there, so we had to move on. Now I'm displaced. As a native San Franciscan, it's horrible to feel deported from our own community. I think it's important to keep our struggle going and keep it strong. We need to make a change with our city government. We need to make a change within our state government. There's absolutely no power or control for small businesses at all. We have absolutely no rights. So I hope we keep our struggle going stronger, and si se puede. Gracias.
And local businesses that fought the opening on 16th Street of a store called Jack Spade, a chain store that is part of a multi-billion-dollar corporation based far away on Park Avenue in New York City. In August, at a hearing over Jack Spade's permits in City Hall, the company's vice president of global sales and retail said her company chose the Mission District to open their next store because, and I quote, "We fell in love with the gentrification happening in the neighborhood." It was certainly shocking to hear this confession spoken publicly by a representative of the company. But the truth is, we know all too well that many corporations and speculators are falling in love with the gentrification happening in this neighborhood and across this city. Far too often, when greedy corporations, greedy speculators, and greedy landlords look at the Mission District and look at San Francisco as a whole, they don't see a thriving, diverse community with an incredibly rich culture and history. Instead, all they see is dollar signs. And all they want to do is see those dollar signs transferred into their bank accounts. But we know the tragic price of gentrification that Jack Spade and others, the gentrification that Jack Spade and others have fallen in love with. And that is the displacement of the existing community. The very community, the very people that we see here right now that made this place so special. I'm very pleased today to not have to ask you for your help in keeping Jack Spade out of the Mission. Because through a truly inspired, unified community effort with so many of the people that we see here, so many people from the 24th Street corridor that came and helped and made this happen, we were finally able to convince Jack Spade that their gentrification and displacement-loving business practices were not welcome in our community. And on Thursday, the company announced they are giving up on opening a store in the Mission District.
I'm here today from the Housing Rights Committee. I was told to show this t-shirt, so I'm showing the t-shirt. But I'm also here, I live in the Castro, so I'm here from the Castro because the Castro is also being gentrified and massive displacements happening there. I'm also from the LGBT community because we too are seeing the effects of gentrification and the displacement of so many LGBT folks, especially people with AIDS. The friggin' speculators are preying on people with AIDS. Can you imagine that? There is a man in the Castro named Jeremy who is being Ellis acted. He's disabled, he's elderly, he's been in the neighborhood for 40 years, and they're displacing him. Just as they displaced countless numbers of people with AIDS. They've been doing it since the late 90s, and we've been fighting back. Right? We've been fighting back. The Castro Tenants Union in the late 90s joined with the Mission Anti-Displacement Coalition and the CCDC and all these other groups, and we fought. We fought and fought. And you know what? We did stop some of the speculation and gentrification in the late 90s. We did put a stop to some of it. Not enough, but we did stop some of the crap that was going on. And now it's worse. Now it's worse. But you know what? We can win. What does victory look like? Victory looks like the 3 Latina mothers with 7 children, Causa Justa, Housing Rights Committee, and a whole bunch of other groups. We went against the banks, the bank that was evicting them. And everybody told us, you can't fight this case, you can't win this case. And we said, si se puede! And guess what? We did a press conference outside of the bank at 16th and Mission with the 7 kids knocking on the door of the bank to deliver a note to the bank saying, please don't evict us. And we had the media there, all the TV cameras. And do you know what? An hour after our demonstration, the bank called and said they were withdrawing the evictions. This is what we have to do. We have to shame them to the core of their being. You know, and 1049 Market, we are right now fighting. There's 3 buildings on Market Street, 1005, 1049, and 1067. They're all artists, live-work lofts. There's one landlord, one group of investors, or whatever the hell they are. They bought the 3 buildings, and they're planning to evict all these tenants. We are talking about 180 units possibly in total. Massive displacement. Well, you know what? We're fighting back. The tenants have organized. They're amazing what these tenants have done. They've organized, and they've gotten the attention of City Hall. And now City Hall is listening, and things are happening. And it's not over. The fight's not over. The Chronicle today talks about the advances that these tenants have made. But the fight's not over, because you know what? If the landlord doesn't agree to withdraw these evictions, we are going to shame him into doing it. Right? Right? We're going to shame him into doing it. Okay? The struggle goes on. We will win because we are the people and we are right and they are wrong. Si se puede! Si se puede! Si se puede!
Gracias.
A few months ago, Jack Spade was not going to budge, and they believed they had the right to come into this neighborhood and do whatever they please, and there was nothing we could do about it. But this week we were able to stop them, and it was because the people in this neighborhood and across the city have begun to push back. This was just, of course, one tiny little fight, one tiny little store, but it was one more clear sign that the people are ready to take their city back. From the Lee family eviction defense on Jackson Street, to the anti-displacement March of Shame that I marched in with all the folks of Soma this week, to the Jack Spade victory, to the attempt to defend Alcides Perla's house in the Bayview, to Marcus Street Books on the Fillmore. The people are rising up. We're going to take this city back. As Eric put it in an email, the sleeping giant has awoken, and we're going to take back our city. This is just the beginning. No more urban deportation. Si se puede, que viva la misión.